One girl from desert.
My name is Waris Dirie, and I want to share my story with you. It is a story of pain, hope, and strength. I was born in Somalia, a country in East Africa, into a family of nomads. We lived a simple life, moving from one place to another with our camels, goats, and sheep. Life in the desert was tough, but it was the only life I knew. When I was just a little girl, something happened to me that changed my life forever. I was about 5 years old when my mother told me that I had to go through a special procedure. I didn't understand what it was, but I trusted my mother. What happened that day was called female genital mutilation, or FGM. I was held down by women in my family, and a sharp blade was used to cut me. The pain was unbearable, and I didn't know why this was happening to me. Later, I learned that this was a tradition in my culture, something that girls had to go through to be considered clean and pure. The physical pain was bad, but the emotional pain stayed with me for years. I didn't understand why such a thing was done to girls. But in my village, no one questioned it. It was just the way things were. As I grew older, I knew I had to leave. When I was about 13 years old, my father told me that I was going to marry a much older man. He was rich and had 3 other wives. But I couldn't imagine being married to someone so much older than me, someone I didn't even love. So, I ran away. It was the hardest decision of my life. But I knew it was the only way to escape a life I didn't want. I ran barefoot across the desert, not knowing where I was going. I was alone, scared, and hungry, but I kept going. After days of walking, I reached the capital city of Somalia, Mogadishu. From there, I managed to find my way to London, where I had some relatives. I didn't speak English, and I had no money, but I was free. In London, life was difficult at first. I worked as a maid for a wealthy Somali family. The work was hard, and I felt like a stranger in a foreign land. But I was determined to make something of myself. I taught myself English by watching TV and reading books. Slowly, I started to adapt to my new life. One day, while I was working at a fast food restaurant, something unexpected happened. A famous photographer named Terrence Donovan walked in. He noticed me and asked if I had ever thought about modeling. I didn't know much about modeling, but I said yes. That moment changed my life. I started working as a model, and soon my career took off. I modeled for top designers like Chanel and Versace, and I appeared in magazines like Vogue and Elle. I couldn't believe that the girl who once ran barefoot through the desert was now walking on runways in Paris and New York. It felt like a dream, but it was real. Even though I was living a glamorous life, I couldn't forget where I came from. The memory of what happened to me as a little girl stayed with me. I knew that I had to do something to help other girls who were going through the same pain. In 1997, I spoke out for the first time about my experience with FGM. I was interviewed by a magazine, and I shared my story with the world. It was difficult to talk about something so personal, but I knew it was important. I wanted to raise awareness and make people understand the terrible effects of FGM. After sharing my story, I was asked to become a UN Special Ambassador for the elimination of female genital mutilation. I traveled around the world, speaking to governments and organizations, urging them to take action against this harmful practice. I also started the Desert Flower Foundation, an organization dedicated to ending FGM and helping survivors rebuild their lives. In 1998, I wrote a book called Desert Flower, which told the story of my journey from the desert to the world of fashion and activism. The book became a bestseller, and people from all over the world reached out to me to share their own stories. It made me realize that I was not alone in my struggle. Many women had suffered in silence, but now, we were finding our voices. But my story didn't end there. In 2009, a movie based on my book was made. It was called Desert Flower, just like the book, and it helped bring even more attention to the issue of FGM. I was proud that my story could inspire others to fight for change. Over the years, I have seen progress. Some countries have banned FGM, and more people are speaking out against it. But the fight is far from over. Millions of girls around the world are still at risk of this practice, and we must continue to work together to protect them. Today, I am still fighting for the rights of girls and women everywhere. I want every girl to have the freedom to live her life without fear of pain and suffering. I want them to know that they are strong, beautiful, and worthy of love and respect, just the way they are. My journey has been long and difficult, but I wouldn't change it for anything. It has made me who I am today, a survivor, a fighter, and an advocate for change. I believe that if we come together, we can make a world where no girl has to endure what I went through. We can create a future where every girl is free to blossom, just like a desert flower. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires you to stand up for what is right and to never be afraid to speak your truth.
Please subscribe our channel, English Self-Learning, for more educational videos. Thank you for watching.